For this lesson and the five to follow, we're going to be using this grid like 16 by 12 grid to teach some very basic programming concepts such as loops and conditionals. And in order to do that, we're going to have our hero character, which is this cute little chick, whose main goal in life is to eat corn. So he has to wend his way through various mazes to get to the corn, which is the target. And in this particular case, it's a very simple pathway moving from left to right. So let's take a look at how we're going to do this. We're going to do everything at the beginning here using this area right here called My Blocks. So almost everything you choose, you want to do from the My Blocks area until we progress further along in the lessons. So using My Blocks, and I also already dragged out this when my green flag is clicked, that's found over here under the events. I dragged one out here in advance. So what I need to do is use these more blocks to get the chick from his starting position over to the corn, which is on the target. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces I have to move the chick. So there's a couple of ways I can do that. The first is I can just go choose to move right 5 times. And when I do that, I click on that. He indeed does make it to the corn. Now, this is a good opportunity for me to let you know that using your space bar will reset your code. So when I click space, I just clicked it, it resets my chick back to his home base and everything. If other things got moved around, it will reset them as well. But mostly when you're done with your code, we always want to add this one block at the bottom, check success. That lets you know if you successfully completed that particular assignment. Because what will happen then is when you run the green flag up here, the chick will actually say yum yum and eat the corn and it will disappear. So that's a way to know if you've done the coding correctly. So using 5 rights, that's all well and good when you only have a few steps, but if you eventually have to move your chick all over this particular maze, doing it this way can be very tedious, and it's really not necessary because really we have something that's being repeated over and over again. So yeah, you can do that, but I'm going to move off to the side and show you a couple of other better ways to do that. The first would be to go to your controls. That's the orange, and bring out a repeat block and put it here. And then you can manipulate this number inside. I know he has to move right 5 times, so I'm going to put a 5 in there. And then I'm just going to put 1 right in. And of course, don't forget, as I mentioned, to check your success. So when I click on the green flag, yum yum means you've been successful, and he goes back and is ready to try it again. Now, it seems a little silly to be bringing this up now, but because it's going to be coming later on, I also want to give you a recommendation, and eventually it's not even a recommendation. It's important that you test your code more than once, because it might work the first time, oftentimes it does, but later on when you have things like portals and villains and things like that, it may not work every time. So you should always run your code 3 times. So run it 3 times just to make sure. Excellent. So there's a second way you can do it. And then the third way, and I think actually the best way in this case, is to just use horizontal or vertical blocks. So in this case, he's moving in a horizontal direction, right and left on the x-axis. So I'm going to bring out the horizontal block and just put in a 5 here. And again, my check success. And there you go. So those are 3 different ways you can choose to manipulate the chick and have him get to his destination. You will see that I've already done a lot of the work for you in this very first level. I've given you all those options that we just reviewed. So all you really have to do is pick one of these 3 and move it over underneath the green flag, whichever one you prefer. and then run your code with the green flag. So I did that for the first one, but I haven't done that for any of the others. Before though, I want to make sure, this is kind of key, that you look here at the instructions. I've given you one step at a time of what you need to do, and if you just take a moment, a lot of people are not great about reading instructions, but I highly recommend you just check. Okay, first, did I remix? Well, yeah, we know I remixed because I just did that a moment ago. Then it says click on My Blocks right here. So here they are, My Blocks, and then drag the right, left, up, down under the green flag. Add check success and test the code, etc. So I really highly recommend you do that. You follow these instructions each time you get to them. Now, when I get to number 2, he's now got to change directions in 2 ways. I'm going to remix, like I said. The instructions are here, but I haven't done the steps for you. So in this particular case, I need him to get 5 over and 5 up. So I'm going to go to My Blocks. I'm going to say horizontal 5 and vertical 5. And what do I need at the end? My check success. Run the code. Now, if you make a mistake, let's say that I put in 4 on my vertical, then he will say, oh no, meaning I didn't get all the way to where I need to go. Or if you go too far, say I put a 6 in here, if he touches the black area, he goes, ow, and he goes back to his home base. So that was a couple of ways you can check to make sure it worked. All right, as you progress through this studio, you will see that you eventually work your way to loops, and that's after the 5th of the levels in this lesson 1. So I'm going to make a separate video to discuss loops.